Hello. Hi, my name is Lena Moxon. I am a certified life purpose and self-expression coach. I am a thought disruptor, a space holder, a truth activator, a mother, a business owner, a lover. I am everything and nothing. I'm uniquely me and just like you. And today I welcome you into this space with me. And I'm really excited to spend some time with you, to be in conversation with you, and to just allow you to realize that this is not a coincidence. I hope today you feel into what I am working to activate within you in such a way that it allows you to remember that you are a woman who is magnetized specifically to the things that are meant for her. I want to remind you of the way life is guiding you, directing you, redirecting you towards the things that are intended for you. And I know that this conversation here today will have something in it specifically for you. I believe that to be true for you because I know it is true for me. There is nothing that I am given, gifted, or guided towards in this life that doesn't have something that I'm supposed to learn from or grow through or witness that would support me in some way. And so I know that to be true for you today too. So I have put together some notes today. This session with me is a little different to what I would usually present. I always respect your time. And so when I put together a workshop or a masterclass or a program series, there's usually a very explicit and articulate outcome to the time that we spend together. I want to move you towards something. I want to make the intangible tangible for you. But today's session, to be honest, is not really like that. There are no clear outcomes and indicators for this conversation. It's more a starting point for your own expansion. It's a starting point potentially for new thought forms, for new feelings, for new ideas, if you let it be. So I invite you to sit here and be in conversation with me actively, to feel into what I'm saying, to feel the things that land as resonant and true, and to also feel the abrasiveness of things that don't quite sit well with you. Those things are just as important and can teach you just as much. So welcome. Let me take a breath. I get really excited to be in connection and conversation and community. And let's dive into what I have prepared for us today. When I thought about the topic of conversation, the word potentialized came rushing forward. I felt it in my body. I felt it in my mouth. And as it came forward and I said it out loud, it just sounded right. Potentialized. The work that I do and the way that I want to connect with you is about allowing you to be confident in your capacity to be and become a woman potentialized. And I want to redefine the way we think of our potential. Often when we talk about potential, it has a kind of undertone and undercurrent of us not being enough in the moment that we are in, of letting ourselves down in some way, of having to strive to be something more than we already are. And I want us to see if we can detach from that way of thinking and realize that when I'm talking about a woman being potentialized, it's not about her even seeing what she can become. It's about her recognizing and remembering who she truly is, who she has always been, and what life is trying to remind her of so that she may become embodied in her own potential, potentialized. Okay, let's move forward into this. So allow me to reintroduce myself. Some of you here I know quite well, and some of you I know we're just getting to know each other. And when I think about all the things that I would like you to know about me, to feel connected to me, to feel safe and secure within my presence and within my support, there are so many things that I could tell you. But more and more, I'm making a decision that I'm not going to use a story of who I have been or what I have overcome to describe myself, to introduce myself. Because in my life, I've decided I'm no longer available for hard lessons. You know, in my life, the hard lessons have come because I was disconnected from self, turned away from my own intuition, unaware or ignorant of my own values and desires. But today, as the woman that I am, I'm much closer to my truth and I live in conscious alignment. And so hard lessons, they're not necessary. I sit, I listen, I feel, I consciously create, I respond and I react in a timely manner. I don't need hard lessons. So when I speak of the woman that I am, I don't really want to speak of the suffering and the struggle. I don't want to reaffirm that as an important part of my being. And so allow me to reintroduce myself and tell you who I am to be, what I am here to create, what I am a stand for, what I am generating and cultivating within myself. I see myself as a leader, as the activation producer of the women that will walk behind me as we decide that we are going to use this one beautiful life of ours to be an example for those that we care about, for those that are close to us, for those in our community, and for those that will follow after us. I am here to take a stand for our work and our essence and our being as being the thing that brings us to life, not the thing that weighs us down or stresses us out. I am here to remind women that they are completely each unique, necessary, gifted, and completely magic within their own way. And more than that, the activation of their unique expression is necessary in this world. Each of us have a specific, intangible thing that only we have carried forward into this life and only we can activate and produce and share from. And I believe the world needs us all to step fully into our power, to lead our own lives and to decide that we are going to discover what it means to be all that we can be, to be fully expressed in every area of our life. That's who I am here to be. Don't worry about my divorce. Don't worry about the multiple six-figure businesses that I built and then walked away from. Don't worry about all the other things that I had to overcome. Just look to where I am going. And I invite you to calibrate yourself and your energy to any woman who is more interested in who she is to be and what that will require of her and what that will suggest that she needs to do day after day. I really, really do recommend you calibrate yourself to her, not the woman who is fixated on her rationalizations and justifications and her stories of the past. That informs us. That is part of understanding ourselves. And I'm not saying we turn away from that. I'm saying that we need to also hold space to speak with confidence and clarity and certainty and excitement about who we are to be and the future ahead of us that isn't tainted by what we have lived or known or experienced in the past. If we're lucky, there is so much time for us to use the energies of our conscious mind and our being and our body, our intentions, our actions to create, to contribute, to build a future that is just so compelling that we rise differently, we move differently, we inspire differently. So I invite you into a conversation that is calling this part of you forward. The part of you that wants to celebrate the excitement and anticipation that she feels when she sits in those quiet moments and activates the belief that what is coming is so great, that what is coming is greater than she could even imagine right now. You are allowed to believe in the worth that you have to activate your own desires. That's what this conversation is going to be about. So let me ask you 2 questions. Today, how are you? How are you? How are you feeling? How are you moving? How are you acting? How are you responding? How are you showing up? And then the next question I want to ask you is, how are you with that? So powerful question. And I think it's the question that should always follow, how are you? When we are asked, how are you? Usually the answer that we offer up perpetuates whatever we have experienced. We reflect on what has already occurred as if it is still occurring. And in that case, we are perpetuating what has been into the future that we are moving into. When I ask you, how are you with that? What I hope is that you pause and consider whether you want to perpetuate what you have been experiencing into the next moment that you are moving into. And what we realize when we ask ourselves, how are you with that, is that we always, moment by moment, have a choice to decide for ourselves whether we are going to replicate what we have already experienced through our thought patterns, our feelings, our languaging, our action taking, or whether we want to refresh and renew and recreate. We always have the opportunity to do that. And for so many women, I think that is what they have forgotten. What we have been given, what we have experienced, what has gone before us does not have to be what we experience moving forward. And as conscious creators, as the leaders of our own lives, we get to choose moment by moment what comes next for ourselves. The power that we have to transmute and use what is coming to us, through us, as us, and to make decisions and declarations for what we no longer make ourselves available for, and for what we really desire to experience, makes us more powerful than maybe we have ever been allowed to believe that we are. And so it's my aim today to put you back in the seat of your own leadership, your own power, your own activation, and to remember and feel into and decide and declare, I am a woman that decides. I am a woman that leads. I am a woman that consciously chooses joy, happiness, expansion, prosperity, abundance, whatever it is you are choosing for yourself. When I talk about our fullest expression, what I mean by that is that we don't live a life limited to the conditioning of our past, of our childhood, of our education, of our previous ways of being. Our fullest expression allows us to step out of the box that we probably had been gently placed into with love and care, right? Usually by caregivers or friends and family, right? They put us in a box and say, this is who you are. This is a good way to be. Get this job, go to these places, marry this man, have these children, live this life, present in this way. This is good. This is safe. This is who you can be. And our fullest expression allows us and requires us to activate our own leadership and say, thank you for showing me the way up until this point. But I think I'm going to look around myself and decide what feels right for me. A lot of people experience this moment in their professional life. For many of us, we were told at probably around 18 years old to choose a vocation, to decide what we were going to study after school, or decide what kind of job we were going to apply for. And usually at that age, we are operating under the conditioning of our families. And we are either rebelling against that or complying with what we have been told is the right thing to do. We've never really been given the opportunity to feel into what is true for us. And so our fullest expression requires us to learn to tune out the external noise, the input, the advice, the obligation, the loyalty, and to really tune into our own innate inner knowing. And when we do that, usually before we find our truth, we come across a lot of curiosities and questions. We look around in our lives and we decide, goodness, what else could there be? How else could I be? What might be available for me if not this? And it just feels like lots of questions arise, and that can be quite unsettling for people, especially if we have all been so used to believing that certainty is the thing that we should be aiming and playing for. And of course, our brains are wired for certainty, for control, for predictability. But certainty, control, and predictability usually creates a life that begins to feel like it is being run on autopilot. And if you are in your 20s, 30s, 40s, there is a long way to go in this life to feel like you have just given up and you're just running on autopilot. And we get to refresh, we get to renew, we get to be reinvigorated by our own purpose and passion. And that begins by asking those questions and learning how to sit in the question and to be uncomfortable as answers arise that we might not like, or we might not have realized were even within us, certain ways of feeling or being or believing that arise, and we look at them and we consider, where did this come from? Is this me? Is this who I choose to be moving forward? When we begin to question things in our life, it can be really unsettling, but it's also a very powerful place to be. Because as we allow ourselves to reimagine, to dream differently, to consider possibilities that maybe hadn't been open to us in the past, but suddenly become probable as a way of being and moving towards in our future, what we are doing is telling our subconscious mind, wow, there are things that I can do to activate change. Maybe I haven't yet discovered all there is to discover about myself, about my life, about what's possible, what I'm capable of, what I might experience, what I might bring forward. And that's when we get our second wind in life. When we decide, no, I actually don't know who I am yet. And I don't have all the answers. And I'm really excited to dig a little deeper and allow myself to find out what more there could be. And when we do that, and we go on the hunt for what more there is, and we stop looking outside ourselves for the answers, and we learn to be a woman who turns inward to listen to her own cues, to her own truth, to her own insights, to her own innate inner knowing, we start to see ourselves and the world in a radically different way. We move differently, and we are guided towards the things more likely to be meant for us rather than the things that people told us would be best for us. We get to lead our life from that point on. And it can feel a little unsettling to not have the affirmation and validation of the people around us telling us what to do next. We've been raised like that, right? With checklists of things that we should do to be successful. And when we decide that our own innate inner knowing is going to be the compass for where to go next, rather than just doing what everybody else is doing, it takes a little getting used to. And this is why I'm here to support women in knowing that it is safe to listen to their own inner knowing, that we will never be misguided or misdirected by our own innate inner knowing, that our truth is leading us home, home within ourselves and home within this life. The difference in being a woman that is self-directed and affirmed means that we feel fulfilled, that we let go of the desire to have certain outcomes or certain expressions of success form our identity. When we're not sure who we are, what we're here for, what the purpose and point of our existence is, we fall into the trick, the trap of thinking that it's the acquiring of things, the demonstrating of things, the status, the title, the bank account, the home, the car, the relationship, whatever it is. We think the things around us that we can push forward and say, look at what I have achieved, will say something about who we truly are. When you are self-directed and self-affirmed, you get to a place where you are no longer concerned by how you are perceived, and you are instead driven by how it feels to exist whole and complete as yourself. And that is a beautiful experience, and one that I think continues to deepen. I hope will continue to deepen as we age. My experience has been that everything that has come before me, everything that I have experienced, gets to be embodied as lived experience and potentially maybe even wisdom when I decide that life truly is happening for me to activate my full expression. Now, when we decide that we are not going to use our lives just to replicate and be one of many, that we are going to use our lives to truly explore, to refine and express what it means to be uniquely us in this lifetime, that we might choose to do certain things, to move in certain ways, to action certain things that the people close to us are kind of taken back by, maybe even shocked by, especially when people have thought that they knew who you were based on who you had been or who they had told you that you had to be. And you start showing up in a new way, maybe just with a new energy, or you decide to make changes within your life, where you live, what you do for work, what you prioritize, and what you value. When we do this, usually the people closest to us have a difficult time with this. And they'll say, who do you think you are? That's not something that you do. And that's the first road bump, usually, that we have to get over. Understanding that in choosing to activate our full expression, it is likely that we will have to first be willing to be unrelatable and misunderstood by the people in our immediate circle, and maybe even our wider community. To change and to grow and to be new requires us to be okay with people not quite understanding what we are doing. And that's a difficult thing. Excuse me, one moment. In my late 20s, when I decided to leave my career as a primary education teacher, nobody understood why I was doing that. Why I would walk away from a full-time government job. So decent salary, great holidays, security. Why I would give up something that seemingly gave me a kind of cruisy ride through life. I could have had that job until I retired. Nobody understood why I would walk away from that to dive face first into entrepreneurship within the businesses that I was already running. Nobody understood that. And that was okay, because I understood. I understood how deeply unsatisfying it had become to contribute to an institution that I wasn't fully aligned with. Nobody understood how deeply unfulfilling it was for me to feel like I was living a day on repeat, sitting in the same commute, going to the same place, being in the same meetings. For some, that rhythm might be really steadying and might be really fulfilling. It might be a great place. For me, it had started to feel like hell on earth. And I know that sounds dramatic, because it, was a good job, and I'm grateful to have had that in my life, but it also wasn't enough for me within this life. And it's okay for us to declare that what we have is good and that we are grateful for it, but it is not enough, and it is not all that we want, and that we are open and available to seeing what else there might be for us. We don't have to stop at one good thing. We are allowed, capable, worthy of experiencing more for ourselves as ourselves. One of the things that I like to support women in doing is understanding what it truly means to return to the body, as your compass, as your navigation, to help you find that North Star for yourself. What is true for you? What feels good for you? What is going to be meaningful and fulfilling for you is not something that you will be able to research and read in a book or hear on a podcast or even hear someone speak to you. Your truth is just that. It is going to be your truth. And whether something feels resonant, whether something feels like it is intended for you, whether something feels deeply fulfilling for you or not, is only going to be information that you can access and you can gather. And a lot of that information simply comes by us really feeling into our own experience as ourselves in this moment that we are in, and asking of ourselves, what is true for me in this moment? How does this feel? To learn to be a woman, to trust the guidance that is transmuted from source, from universe, from God to us, through us, in the body, and to activate our innate inner knowing, to be in conversation with source so that we are moved, to be women that are devoted to the understanding of our purpose, and to listen and to see every experience as an unfolding, a refining, a getting to know of ourselves and the world, so that when it is time to move powerfully towards the things that are meant for us, we trust that and we move. When we get the sign, when we feel the nudges, when the opportunity is there, we don't question it. We don't sit back in doubt or hesitation. We move powerfully because we are connected to our body and we understand the way that our body communicates with us. We understand what our body is transmuting. We feel into our intuition, our gut feelings, the way that the sensations in our body are telling us more than we could ever logically receive from a book, from a podcast, from I don't know where you think the answers are going to come from. The answers are here, gifted and given and transmuted through our bodies. So many women are so disconnected from their bodies, though, that they have a really hard time knowing that this is a place of trust, of wisdom. Women have been conditioned and told that their bodies are almost the enemy, that they need to change their body, that their body is the thing that is making them lack confidence, that their body is the thing getting in the way of their expression. It's not true. And I want to support you in returning to the body, reclaiming and redefining your relationship with your body, and understanding what a powerful vehicle your body is in this life, how it works for you, how it is the thing that will move you in the direction of your passion and your purpose, but only if you decide to be deeply connected to it. You cannot live a life fulfilled and embodied and of passion and of purpose if you are not fully connected and present in a loving, whole relationship with your own body. This is something that you cannot bypass. And I'm not talking about going on a diet or doing exercise. I'm talking about deep embodiment and understanding what that means. And if this is something that is a confusing concept for you, that is okay. That is okay, because we are in a society that has removed us from this relationship that I'm talking about, that has kept us from the sacred secrets within our body. We've been told that some other higher authority, some other being, some other person has the answers for us. We've been stripped of our power to know that our own innate inner knowing is the only answer we will ever need for what to do next within ourselves and within our lives. And we don't do this alone. Like I said, the guidance, the information, the wisdom that is transmuted to us, through us, is gifted, it's given, and it's up to us to sharpen our ability to feel, to listen, to trust, and then to move. Why does this all matter? Why does this work matter so much to me, and why should this matter to you? Here's what it comes down to for me. Being fully expressed in this life, it's not just about feeling good within yourself. It actually has very little to do with that. It's important to feel good within yourself so that you can show up and you do present yourself and you do make the effort. But my belief is that the full expression of ourselves actually has nothing to do with our own experience of self. And there's a beautiful, powerful quote from Martin Luther King Jr. that articulates what I'm trying to get at really beautifully. He said, life's most persistent and urgent question is, what are you doing for others? Can you see where I'm going with this? Your full expression matters because I'm hoping with your full expression, you then can answer the question, how are you contributing to others? It's hard to know how we can contribute if we don't know who we are, what we are made of, what's important to us. But once we have activated our full expression, I am hoping, it is my intent to support you in being able to contribute fully. Contribution is the fast track to fulfillment. So my aim in my work is to support women in being fully expressed and activated so that they can discover how they might contribute to the world in big public ways and in small, minute, unseen ways. Who you are and the necessity of who you are and the ripple effect that your existence has, it matters. And so when I'm talking to you about this today, I'm not saying discover how you can contribute to the world. What I am implicitly pointing out to you is the need to consider how you already are contributing. And my work with women supports them in making this contribution bigger, for sure, greater, definitely. But what I want you to know today, who you are in this moment is already potent and powerful and making impact. How are you already contributing? I want to help you in this moment today by reflecting and appreciate all the ways that you are already contributing. There's a book called Coming Alive. And I think actually it's in my notes on the next page. Let me find who the author is for us. Yes, Barry Michaels and Phil Stutz, Coming Alive. And they talk about this in the book, okay? And one of the things that they talk about, and I'm going to share this book with you in a moment, is that we have to and we must appreciate all the ways that we're already contributing, because this allows us to witness even just a small part of our power. And when we realize, my life is actually important and does make a difference, and I am making impact, whether I intentionally do that or not, we start to ask ourselves the question, well, what would I do if I could intentionally make a difference and intentionally contribute? If I'm doing that, regardless of whether I intend to or not, wouldn't it be better if I actually turned my awareness onto this and contributed in a way that I was conscious of? Of course. But for the here and now, just think of one person in your life who you know positively benefits from your presence and just celebrate that. Know that you matter. Know that you're making a difference. And then go celebrate it some more by finding one way to contribute a little more awesome to their lives. See if you can turn the dial up on your contribution today and just feel how fulfilling that alone feels without getting anything back in return. Just your mere contribution allows you to feel like you are living a life that is fully expressed, meaningful, purposeful, fulfilling. The other thing that I wanted to talk to you today about very quickly, because I know I'm running out of time, is the concept of the dreamer and the doer. And again, this comes from the book Coming Alive. The idea, the inception of this idea comes from the book. And I highly recommend that you read this book if you have not read it. The essence of it is the fact that there's an eternal battle going on within you between the best version of you and the not so great version of you. So your dreamer is the version of you that can see your infinite potential. It knows that you can do so much more than you're currently doing. And your doer is the part of you that actually does the things that are best for you. What you need to understand is that your dreamer needs to be able to trust your doer. Your dreamer needs to know that when it says, this is important to me, this is meaningful to me, wouldn't it be great if we could do this, that your doer will actually take action on it. If you don't have trust in your doer, you won't have the confidence to dream. If you know that you don't take action on your desires, on your imagination, on your intentions, then eventually you shut down the part of yourself that dreams, because what's the point? And that's a really sad thing to have happen for ourselves. When we stop imagining what could be possible and just accept what is for ourselves, that's when life goes on autopilot. So I want to encourage you to reactivate your ability to be a woman that takes action, that allows the dreamer to dream with the confidence of the doer actually moving forward and creating a new future, a compelling future, something that hasn't been experienced before. The Latin root of the word confidence literally means intense trust. And in this case today, what I'm hoping that you understand is that we have to build the trust between our dreamer and our doer. How do we do this? Well, let's start really small. At every choice point today, yes, every single time you go to make a choice, ask your doer if he or she or they thinks that the dreamer will appreciate what you're about to do. That's it. When you go to decide something, when you go to make a choice for yourself, ask, would my dreamer appreciate this right now? Moment to moment to moment. We're either doing things that take us in the direction of our dreamer, or we're headed in some other direction. Connect with the part of you that dreams, that can envision that compelling future, and ask it to lead the way so that the doer knows which way to go and takes action and moves in that direction. Let your actions, let your choices, let your decisions be inspired by the dreamer, not your limitation, not your previous experience, not your conditioning, but by the dreamer. Okay. The one offering that I'm going to share with you today, and I have many offerings, so what I have said with you today, my energy, my way of being has resonated, please get in touch, because there are many programs I have, many coaching opportunities that I have available this year. But the one very simple way that we could get started together is through this program, and I'm inviting you to join this today. You can get started on this today. It's my Overcome Your Inner Critic program. It is an audio coaching program. So simple yet powerful. It is an 8-day audio coaching experience, and it includes integration exercises and support resources. Why is the Inner Critic program so important? Because when I'm talking to you about the dreamer and the doer, there's another aspect of yourself that comes forward and asserts itself. The dreamer can tell us what's possible. The doer can be ready to take action, but it's the inner critic that wiggles its way in and has a lot to say about what the dreamer is even thinking and what the doer is even capable of. So learning to rebuild our relationship, to understand our inner critic, to disarm the inner critic, and to even befriend the inner critic allows our doer to actually effectively take action. And it also creates more space for our dreamer to get more creative, more imaginative, more excited about what could be possible and available. So this program is designed to really support you in tuning into your own inner dialogue, the ways that you think, the way that you speak to yourself, of yourself and about yourself, and to give you an opportunity to make new beginnings, create new thought forms, overcome the parts of you that are stuck in a loop of hesitation, of denial, of doubt, of criticism, and to create some new thought forms that will allow you to experience your relationship with yourself, what's possible for you, and what you can actually do in a whole new way. So I encourage you to take a look. I have the website right there for you. I've made this a very accessible price, just $85. You will register, and then for 8 days in your inbox, you will receive an email from me that will be an audio training that you can listen to in your own time. This is self-paced. And then some integration exercises to help you really understand what has been taught in that training and how you can apply the teachings to your life in a practical way so that you experience change. It's one thing to listen to something or read something. We often need support in, okay, but how do I activate this within my life? And this is exactly what that program offers you in an 8-day intensive period. Now, of course, you will have access to this forevermore. So like I said, it's self-paced. If you don't get through it in the 8 days, you can do it in your own time, right? Don't let your inner critic tell you that you're behind or that you're too slow. You do it your way. But it is a powerful program that I'm really excited to share with you. I ran it a few times last year, and the feedback was so fulfilling as women really experienced a new sense of self coming out of this program. So I invite you to take a look at that for yourself and read more information on that website. And if it feels right, go ahead and register and have that for yourself. It's really, really created from my heart to you to begin your activation. Okay, my final words today is that I hope in all that you do, in all that you take away from this, something has been sparked in you so that you remember what it feels like to know that you are inspired, gifted, moved, open to transmute all that is coming to you, through you, as you, into the heart, into the soul, and then out into the world to serve. Whether that's through your essence, your way of being, through the way you are in relationship with a partner, a friend, a child, a parent, the work that you do, the way that you serve your community, may you be fully expressed because the world needs you. Thank you.